Porcelain Peak, dissecting all things horror and sci-fi.
Welcome back to Porcelain Peak. We're doing Creature Knows.
I'm surprised that it took until the second episode for one of us to make a Creature Knows.
Creature Knows.
Harry Potter's not really that cool right now, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Guess we're fucked.
Harry who?
Hey. Creature Knows.
Creature Knows, yeah. All right, this...
Creature hates J.K. Rowling. J.K.
She's a turf.
I'm getting hotter. Anyway.
Yeah.
This week, here's what we're talking about. Chop Talk. We got some Scream 6 news and a ton more. Then we're going to play trivia. John, coming off a win. It's your season, dude. It's crazy.
Even Adrian was like, "You got to step up your game, Anthony." she was like, "I've been watching the recent episodes, and like, as soon as you got into that all movies instead of just horror, suddenly it was like
it unlocked the fact that I go to a movie every week, pretty much."
Pretty much. Then for our main discussion, we are doing the 1950s Invasion of the Body Snatcher and the 2022 Crimes of the Future by Mr. Cronenberg.
David Power Tools Cronenberg.
Yep, that's got to be it. And then for our final cut, we're continuing with the Break the Binge, and we're talking about Season 4 of Stranger Things, Episode 2, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 3.
So we might get in a little bit shorter episode this week because we only got one episode of Obi-Wan to talk about, but it's a divisive one.
It's just Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. I won
John,
1-1.
roll it before it gets worse.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
All right. Counselors. Counselor Jig. Counselor Du Bois. How are you guys?
What was my boy voice? Fuck, I just want to do a boy thing.
boy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited for Creature Camp. I'm Brahms the boy, too.
Back in action.
I'm doing well.
All right, good. Happy to hear it.
I left camp for a short period to do my civic duty, and I voted.
Great. You want to talk about your political views on air?
Yeah, that sounds like a totally great idea that won't alienate audience members.
Perfect.
I'm just going to slip right out of here.
Then we'll have to put, like, the views expressed.
But yeah, Brahms is doing great. I'm doing not as great as that porcelain boy. You know, that doll's really living the life, you know. And
hanging out with, what's her name?
With Lauren Cohan and
Maggie
Katie
Green.
Holmes.
Damn.
In the sequel. Brahms 2, the boy.
Katie Holmes fell the fuck off.
Yeah.
That happens when you ditch Christopher Nolan, dude.
Yeah.
That happens when you ditch Tom Cruise.
I guess
he goes
so,
on and does Top Gun Maverick, and you're in Brahms the boy too.
That's funny.
She's like, honey, please just stop jumping off of planes and shit.
It's like, I got the need. Anyway,
let's talk about the
let's talk
biggest
about some news. Yeah, so this came to our attention. Nev Campbell.
She told us personally.
Yeah,
called me up and said,
before she made
hey,
the official decision.
Tone, I'm not going back to Scream. And that's it. That's the news. She's not returning for Scream 6 because she said that the offer that they gave her, money-wise, was not what she felt she was worth as an actress and specifically for this franchise. Which I'm like, yeah, I mean, you kind of are the soul of this franchise.
And the movie has now been now production is delayed because she's not involved. So obviously they had every intention of having her involved until they offered her the money, and she was like, "No, I think it's a completely legit. I mean, know your value. It's a completely legitimate reason to not do the movie."
I dig that.
My only thing about everybody, one, it's annoying because everybody on social media and everything loves to be like, I'm breaking the news, and so I've just seen the same, like, Nev Campbell's not in Scream 6, and everybody's freaking out and crying over it, and I'm like, you do realize that all they could do now is just negotiate with her, and she is in Scream 6, and it's like it's the end of the world because she put out a statement, and it's like, or they realize they need her. It's a power play. They give her more money. She's in the movie. And I think that's what's going to happen. I really don't think she's not going to be in the movie. I think that they're just going to offer her more money. Like, why wouldn't they? It's not like they don't have the money to give her. I think it was just a mistake that they offered her such a low amount.
Yeah, and I think that...
And she wanted to show, like you said, it's a power play. She wanted to show, hey, fuck it then. I'm not going to be in the movie.
See how people react to me not being in your movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that they would have to... They'd have to go through the entire process of rewriting the script to write her out. And I think that that's going to be difficult. It'd be a lot of effort to make it something, and also make it something that's not going to be a slap in the face to fans. I mean, that's the
get this digidouble.
Oh no! Don't even.
But they're in a situation where
Like,
they killed off one of their main characters from the franchise, and now they potentially could lose another one that they probably didn't intend to lose. So they're really going to have the one staple character from the original franchise, and really is Gale enough to carry the, I mean, not she would have to carry the movie because they're bringing a bunch of people from Scream 5, the younger people.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the continuity or whatever, like, does she really? I feel like they all work best together.
I would watch it no matter what. I mean, I think we were all really hesitant that it wasn't going to have Wes in the last one.
Yeah.
And it ended up being okay without him. I mean,
Yeah.
I still
I've
think
seen it a
that-
couple times, and I enjoyed it the second time around too.
Yeah. So I just think it would suck continuity-wise for them to just not even have Sydney in it.
Yeah.
We need her. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and the main point I wanted to make is, like, it's probably not permanent.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
it's probably going to change.
We thought Marvel and Sony weren't going to make another Spider-Man movie, and then we got one of the dopest Spider-Man movies. So
Yeah, and we thought in other news that Morbius would never come back to theaters, but because it was such an amazing, fantastic masterpiece of a film, Sony decided to re-release it in 1,000 more theaters.
what?
So basically what happened is Morbius turned into, and I've sent you a lot of the memes and I've sent them to the chat, it turned into a giant meme to say that Morbius had
It's Morbin
like a
time,
200%
y'all.
on Rotten Tomatoes and that it was like an amazing, like, life-changing movie.
Yeah.
Well, Sony, being the complete fucking idiot, out-of-touch idiots that they are, took that as people are demanding Morbius to come back to theaters, so they released it in theaters and it bombed so fucking hard.
$56,000 is what it made on that.
I think it averaged out to
reopening
like
night.
5 tickets sold, like, per screening.
Yeah.
So basically,
I mean, that's still kind of a bit for how long that movie's been out.
yeah, but I think that Sony was either completely oblivious to the irony of the meme, or they were trying to lean into it. And it's one of those things where it's like, no, we weren't laughing with you, we were laughing at you.
Yeah.
And so now we're just laughing even more because I wasn't part of this, but the internet basically trolled Sony into re-releasing a movie into theaters. My thing that kind of blows my mind is what theater was like, yeah, we'll bring Morbius back when they have fucking Top Gun right now. Like, just add 2 more Top Gun,
I don't know.
screenings and make more money.
It's crazy. I was looking when we were trying to find screenings for Crimes of the Future, and it's just Maverick is the whole page, and then it's like, me.
Yeah.
Here's the other 2 movies we're playing.
Yeah.
Speaking of people from the new Scream, though, we got first photos of Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams from the Tim Burton Wednesday show.
Correct.
I think she looks like Wednesday Addams. Looks great.
I mean, at a glance, I was like, is that Christina Ricci?
Yeah.
And I like that she's got the dark Tim Burton makeup. I hope that he just goes full Tim Burton. I mean, people have been waiting literally decades now for him to do an Addams Family thing, like since before those Addams Family movies came out.
It's Kismet.
Yeah. You want me to kiss you? Is that what you said? Yeah, outside of that, Mike Flanagan's teaser for the Midnight Club came out.
What?
And it looks pretty
know
fucking
that?
I
dope.
did know that.
What?
Poster came out too. It's a teaser, so it doesn't really show you anything. It just shows a creepy Mike Flanagan looking study library of some sort, and then a bunch of kids. It basically looks like if Mike Flanagan did Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yes.
So
Is
that's
this the Poe one that he was doing?
no,
No,
that's
that's something
Fall of the
else,
House
right?
of Usher.
Right.
He's a busy man.
Yeah.
And is he doing this whole thing?
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, we
It
did
said
talk
from the
about this, huh?
producers but I know he's directing, so I don't know how much of it he's directing. I'd have to look into it.
Sick. Good for him.
Yeah, moving on because I have a lot of news. Adam Wingard is apparently doing a Face Off sequel.
Whoa.
And very, very much wants it to be a legacy sequel to the original Face Off and wants to have at least Nicolas Cage involved. Nicolas Cage hasn't confirmed whether he would be involved, but it is something that they're trying to make happen.
I mean, it's Nicolas Cage.
I know.
I mean, you roll
I
any
just
amount
watched
of money.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent last night. One, highly recommend. That I was like, it's so heartwarming. And also, it made me feel like, even though he's playing a fictionalized version of himself, it kind of made me feel like I understand Nick Cage as a person a little bit better.
Yeah.
He makes so many like jabs at his weird idiosyncrasies and like memeage. It's just a lot of fun.
Him
Pedro
and
Pascal is
Jeff
great.
Goldblum are just on like Mount Rushmore of weird Hollywood people that are like generally beloved.
Speaking of Nick Cage, because I'll probably forget this later, he, I guess, originally was supposed to play the main character in Crimes of the Future. Like back when it was originally supposed to be made, because it's been in like, development hell for a long time.
That'd be bizarre, but I'd pay money to see it.
Yeah, I'd be into it. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we got the first teaser clip for Wendell and Wild, the stop motion Key and Peele and Henry Selick Netflix show, and
It's a show.
yeah, apparently, or it's a movie. Maybe it's a movie. But the teaser
Netflix
that came out,
project.
I guess Netflix had some big like event recently because a lot of these teasers just came out for Netflix things, and it looks like basically Coraline, but as a set in a school, and it's about a girl who finds a couple of demons who are up to no good, played by Key and Peele. And I'm very excited about that.
There's a couple of demons who are up to no good.
Yeah, much like what usually happens on this show, a piece of news that dropped that we won't really fully get to appreciate until tomorrow is that the Rob Zombie Monsters teaser trailer is dropping tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
He released a photo of the cast together on set. I'm still just like, they look like the Munsters. That's cool, but I want to see the trailer so I can understand what kind of style he's going for.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the first like dirty rotten motherfucker or something. Some shit.
Cocksuckers.
Yeah, pretty much. Also on Netflix, The Sandman. Neil Gaiman's The Sandman is...
Oh, I thought that was going to Prime.
No, also to Netflix, and the teaser trailer, it's more of a trailer, came out today. Looks basically like if they took Thor and made it creepier. Like lots of crazy big CG like worlds where all the different gods live. It looks real dark and creepy.
Sounds
and
Gaiman as fuck.
Yeah, and I'm into it. Apparently, Gaiman had to coach the lead actor to stop doing a Batman voice. I read an article about that. At one point, he finally just stopped him, and he was like, "You're not fucking Batman. Like, stop. That's not the voice that I want." And that's how much Neil Gaiman apparently was involved in like, I want this character.
Yeah,
I mean, this has been his baby. Some people know him as the comic writer.
Yeah, as the guy who did Sandman.
Yeah. Which is crazy, but makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And then let's see what else. Oh, the new Resident Evil also on Netflix teaser trailer dropped.
Movie?
Show. Yeah.
Is it a continuation of the animated show that they did before, or is it a live action?
Live action?
It's live action and has no relation to any of the previous Resident Evil stuff, including Welcome to Raccoon City. The premise looks like it's Umbrella after all of the Resident Evil shit went down, and now they're trying to like rehab their image by making like
Then what's the world is left?
It shows there's a lot of fucking zombies. One thing I will say is that it looks like they're trying to do Stranger Things, but set in Resident Evil, because it's mostly a cast of young kids, younger, not young, but like this season's Stranger Things age,
high school kids,
I guess. Yeah, and the CG already looks better than any of the CG that I've seen in the previous Resident Evil properties, because they specifically showed the liquor or whatever.
Yeah,
and already I'm like, yeah, that looks dope.
Cool.
Which I have not said about a single version of that, even in Welcome to Raccoon City.
Netflix has a bunch of zombie shows.
Yeah, they do. I'll toss in one quick thing for Resident Evil as well. Resident Evil 4 Remake got its first trailer.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I know somebody said something about they're using the same Leon model as they did for is it the 2 remake?
Yeah. It's because it's all done in
Isn't it nice
the
that the
RE
remake's
engine.
coming out after we played the game?
Yeah, for sure. Totally. I totally couldn't use some quality of life adjustments on the shooting mechanics of that fucking game.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing great.
We're always just a little bit behind the curve, which is why you guys tune in to
Or
hear the
ahead.
news from us.
Right?
Well, I mean, we're I guess ahead of the curve. I just wouldn't say we're ahead of the curve because it sucks to play that game.
We're ahead.
After coming off of that 2 remake, because
Yeah,
shit was
we're ahead.
dope.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. Well, that's all I got for Chop Talk. I tried to move at a clip so that we wouldn't be going on forever and a day. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I have one last thing. Well, technically it's 2, but it's 2 from the same thing. So
I do have one more thing, but after your thing.
Oh, I have a thing.
Shut up. You don't get a thing.
is it your penis?
No, I have that. That one's attached.
Allegedly.
So as of recording today, Everything Everywhere All at Once dropped on demand, so you can purchase it, which is super dope. I will probably buy it in the very near future. It also comes with blooper reels, director's commentary, all that good stuff for the behind the scenes shit.
Yeah,
super
I bet you they're gonna
tight.
come out with a dope steelbook for that.
Ooh,
Ooh, yeah.
I hope it has like raised googly eyes on it.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Speaking of googly eyes, apparently there has been a googly eye shortage due to the popularity of the film.
Wow.
My sister bought a bag of googly eyes to surprise me. I found them when I was cleaning the other day, and she had yet to do anything with them. So I stuck them all over a bunch of random objects, like our.
Remember when we did that?
Yeah, that was my inspiration. Was like
We were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, that's when we were ahead of the curve. Yeah. Well, that's why when the first like teaser for Everything Everywhere came out, I was like, dude, they're fucking reading our minds. Daniels are making a googly eye movie. So I stuck googly eyes on like our soap dispenser and a bunch of stuff all over the house. And my sister was like, yeah, I bought those because I watched Everything Everywhere all at once.
How funny.
Yeah.
That's so
and
cool.
she loved it so much. So, well, that's awesome because I using, of course, 100% legal means, rewatched Everything Everywhere like a couple weeks ago, and that movie is just, I can't wait to see like the behind the scenes stuff. Like I just want to see how they put even one scene in that movie together, because I just can't even really comprehend it while I'm watching it. I'm just like, oh, I'm just absorbing it, like, oh, everything everywhere all at once.
Pretty much.
The other quick thing that I had is, if you guys are not Chuck listening to this, then everyone go over and check out Chuck and Ruff Go to the Movies. I got to design their new logo, their new podcast cover. It's getting a lot of really good feedback on Instagram, which has made my day really nice. My ego has been like...
And how's it been since the logo came out?
Well, I mean, that's not what inflated when that logo came out. Yeah, but go check... Yeah, let me know what you think. Go check out Chuck and Ruff Go to the Movies in general. Their 4th season is coming out soon, and we, or at least myself, are going to be joining Chuck for a surprise awesome movie. Give you a little hint, speaking of Henry Selick and stop motion, for Christmas in July. So hang tight for that, because it's going to be fun.
Get excited.
I want to do just a quick shout out to Amazon Prime. I love the X-ray feature.
It is pretty dope.
And it's so nice because today I was watching The Boys.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I know that broad.
You're watching The Boys?
So then I hit it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the chick from The Walking Dead. Yeah. Perfect. Didn't have to go into a different app. Just all right there. Thank you. So thanks, Amazon
and I love
Prime.
that they do the like
who's
part
in
of
the
that feature is
scene.
that, like, who's in the scene. Yeah, so I can immediately go, and I don't have to look and scroll on IMDb.
Yep.
Yeah,
So shout out.
which Apple TV directly ripped for its Friday Night Baseball thing that it does now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it'll show like the walkout song. So like if you like click, it'll like show different stuff, and like you can pull up stats and things. So it's very, very similar.
That's cool. I mean, that's dope.
Yeah,
And being the people that we like that background information, like what song is this or who's this actress, it's super convenient.
Yeah, and I'm a nerd who actually likes to sometimes read the credits on shows, and it was pissing me off that Disney Plus like tries to force you out of the credits before you can read them all and go to the next episode. It took me fucking forever just to get into the credits for the most recent Obi-Wan and see, did James Earl Jones do the voice, and like, which is some stuff I'll go into when we talk about that. But yeah, we're little nerd boys, and then we like that X-ray feature. But no shout out to Jeff Bezos.
No.
Just to Amazon Prime.
Also, speaking of nerd boys, you reminded me of one last thing. Shelby Oaks finished filming.
Oh, shit. That was
Yeah.
quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I always forget that movies really, like, unless they're giant or there's a pandemic, they really don't take that long to film. It's just all the post-production and everything. And all
Yeah,
that,
it's the editing and all the extra stuff that goes into it, and then figuring out distribution and everything once it's all put together. But if you haven't watched previous episodes of this or are not in the know about Chris Stuckman is a YouTuber, a very famous movie reviewer who is now a filmmaker, had the highest Kickstarter ever for, I believe it's for a horror film. But yeah, it just finished. Just finished filming, so we're very excited to get our grubby little paws on that motherfucker.
Hope it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And if it does, we'll review it.
Oh, yeah, tear that shit apart.
All right. That's going to wrap it over Chop Talk. We'll get started with that trivia.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right? Right?
You can just come in on the conversation. Like,
Yeah, just come in. Just come on the conversation.
Just mid-conversation, because the audience loves when they come into something with no context.
Yeah, when he wrecked him, I damn near killed him.
Yeah.
And you could just roll into that. And then
I wonder if the
laugh.
audience just heard my shoulder pop hell fucking loud. when I moved
I
just
heard it
now.
over
Yeah,
here.
you heard it over there. That was the shoulder pop heard around the world. I'm getting old, folks. Turning 30 in a few days.
I thought, speaking of the slap heard around the world, I had an idea that because Batman versus Superman is referenced in I Am Legend, that Will Smith exists as an actor in the I Am Legend universe, and the world was going to shit. So after the slap, he decided he was going to rebrand himself as Neville, and that's why, and like put himself in a bunker, and that's why he survived.
So it was the Fresh Prince the whole time. I like it.
Yep, that's my new theory. There you go.
That movie really deserves some deep backstory.
All right, go ahead.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Your trivia tune this week is trivia.
Amadeus?
Yeah, rock me Amadeus.
Amadeus.
Amadeus. I'm a dumbass.
Ignoramus.
Huh?
Why?
Because it's in Stranger Things episode 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
We're playing Pass the Popcorn, all movie editions. If one of us reads a year and a genre and the person guesses that correctly based off that, you can get 5 points. If not, every clue after that gets you 1 less point.
Popcorn not included.
John's coming off a win. I'm going to read to him. He's going to read to Anthony, and Anthony will read back to me.
In typical fashion.
We're camping it up. John, you got a 1987 sci-fi, and I'm keeping score, not cheating.
Counselor.
Counselor John, Counselor Jig.
It sounds like we're talking in a courtroom. 87 sci-fi. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
You got it, sir. Here's your quote. It says, "Let me make something clear to you. He doesn't have a name. He has a program. He's product."
Huh.
Okay.
Interessante.
Okay.
Give me the cast, please.
The cast is Peter Weller and Kurtwood Smith.
That helped me not at all.
No relation to Will.
Kurtwood Smith from Firestarter. From the Firestarter remake.
Helped me not at all.
I think you might have to get the story on this one, but
Yeah, go ahead and go to the next one.
characters for you, John, is Officer Alex Murphy and villainous Clarence Bodicker.
Oh,
Boddicker?
Okay, no, so now, yeah,
Bodicker.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good now. Thank you for reminding me that this person is in Firestarter. He's also gonna kick your ass, because he's Red
in that
Foreman.
70s show.
I see.
Yeah, so
Dumbass.
RoboCop.
That is correct for
Murphy.
2 points.
I can hear the fucking line now.
2 points
Really
on the
frustrating.
board.
Yeah, that's a tough one because Kurtwood Smith, I think a lot of people don't know his name. They just know That 70s Show or
That's his name?
Yep.
Kurtwood Smith, yeah.
Okay, good.
Peter Weller.
Anthony, you have a 2002 drama film.
Okay, hit me with that blue category.
Tagline: The true story of a real fake.
Ooh, that sounds good. I think I know.
It sounds super familiar,
Okay.
but I'm going to have to get the cast just to make sure.
I think you'll get it from here.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Catch Me If You Can.
It is indeed Catch Me If You Can.
Such a fucking
For
good
3 points.
3
movie.
points.
I love Catch Me If You Can. 2007 comedy, Tone. Counselor Tone.
I will have to take a counselor quote.
Your tagline is, "They're straight as can be, but don't tell anyone."
Huh. Oh, I know what it is.
What is the name of that movie?
If I told
It's
you
a-
that, I'd have to kill you.
It's a dumbass name for sure.
But don't tell anybody. I have an idea, but I will have to take the... yeah, give me the cast just in case.
Your cast is Adam Sandler
Okay.
and Kevin James.
Is it Chuck and Ruff go to the movies? Chuck and Larry?
There's
There's
not- that's
a
not the
lot.
whole title,
There's a
but-
lot more to that title.
Oh, there's more to it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
You and I can agree whether we want to give it to him if you can't figure out the whole title for getting that much, but it's up to you.
Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, because we're getting pretty cutthroat here in terms of the wins. Be the whole title.
Chuck and Larry. Oh, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Remember when
For 3?
homophobia was hilarious?
All right. Well, that puts us at what? John, you're at 2, and the 2 tones are at 3.
Yeah.
You're moving into a 2005 comedy.
2005 comedy. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
You know how they say we only use 10% of our brains? I think we only use 10% of our hearts.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Oh. This is so familiar.
Anything else is going to give it to you.
Yeah, because I could rip a guess, but I think I would rather just in
just rip a
case.
fat guess.
No, I'd rather take the cast just in case.
Okay, the cast is Owen Wilson
Wow.
and Vince Vaughn.
Okay, good. Glad I didn't just rip a guess because I think I would have guessed Hitch, but it's Wedding Crashers.
That is correct for 3 points.
Never seen it. Is it good?
I don't know if it holds
Wedding
up.
Crashers?
I remember it
don't
being
know.
funny when I was younger, but I don't remember if it holds up very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got a good cast, and it's crazy because Bradley Cooper's in it, and he's a fucking dick. But
That's
he's
all
so
I-
likable now.
Well, yeah, that's all I knew him as when he first popped up on the scene, because he's pretty much a big dick in The Hangover, and
Worse, though.
And yeah, and
Like, at least
so-
he's kind of charming.
Yeah.
He's awful in this.
Yeah, I hated him when he was first on the scene. I was like, he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
And then you have a
Now he's a
1995
raccoon.
95 drama.
Give me the first clue, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
We've had a problem?
That's what it says here.
So that's the actual quote. The
Yeah.
real life quote is Houston, we've had a problem. Frequently misquoted, but that's from Apollo 13.
It is indeed from Apollo 13.
For 4 points?
I hiccuped a little bit there because I was like, don't say Apollo 11. That's the one that went
To the moon.
to the moon the first time.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong.
What's the alien movie?
Apollo
Apollo
18.
18.
Oh,
I think.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Awful.
Haven't seen it, but I assumed. Tony, you have a 1980 comedy film.
Ooh, 80
Go ahead and give
comedy?
me a quote.
Your quote is, Cinderella story, out of nowhere. A former greenskeeper, now about to become the Masters champion. Give you a hint, this is my dad's favorite movie.
You know what's happening over here?
Put it away, John.
Long neck as fuck, boy.
No, this is a family show. We apologize.
Can you not get your 9 iron out? on the
I will
video
say Caddyshack.
It is
Yeah.
Caddyshack.
All right. John, you're sitting at 5.
I'm all right. Nobody worry about
And Anthony and I got 7. Okay? And your next one is a 1975 comedy.
75 comedy. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
We are the knights who say knee.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, I'm going to need the whole title.
I gave you the whole title.
That is correct, sir. Nice job for 4 points. And the lead.
Anthony, you have a 1986 action film.
Give me the first clue, please.
I just want to show this to you beforehand.
Wow. Wow.
I feel the need.
I knew it was going to be
The
this.
need for speed.
Wow. What are the chances?
Top Gun.
It is indeed Top Gun.
This game gets us every time.
Yeah. I think every game we've ever played gets us
It's
every time.
crazy, dude.
The weirdest coinky dinks.
You know, I'm starting to think we might be in the...
Yeah, you do take my breath away, so it makes sense.
Thanks.
Take my breath away.
Tone, you have a 1941 drama.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I'll take a quote.
You'll get it. Rosebud.
Oh, shit.
Come on, baby.
Rosebud.
Put it away, John.
Come on, baby.
So if you don't know something, you're going to be like this.
Yeah.
Is that Citizen Kane?
It is indeed
is
Citizen
Kane.
Kane.
Whew, that makes me nervous. Never seen it.
The main cane. Drain the main cane. I think
It's worth watching just for the fact that it was widely considered to be the greatest film of all time. It does not hold up nearly as well as some people say. That's my hot take.
that is a very hot take because I completely disagree. I watched it for the first time a few years back. Felt the same way. Rewatched it about a year ago. Thought that it was incredible.
Oh.
So I would maybe give it a shot.
All right, great.
But hey, agree to disagree, you motherfucker.
I mean, we all know that I'm wrong, so.
John, you got 11. Anthony and I have 11. You got 9.
Yeah.
You got a 1980 horror movie.
80 horror movie? Mm-hmm. Give me the quote, please.
No, sir, you are the caretaker. You've always been the caretaker. I ought to know. I've always been here.
That would be The Shinning.
That is
Good.
correct, sir. Nice job for
Counselor,
4
want to get
points.
sued?
Anthony, you have a 1965 from your favorite category, musical.
Oh my God, you get all the musicals, huh?
I do, yeah.
65?
65.
May I see?
Give me the first clue, please.
You were the 12th in a long line of governesses. I trust you will be an improvement on the last one. She stayed only 2 hours.
Go through it all if you're unsure.
Yeah, give me... Wait. Can you repeat that?
You are the 12th in a long line of governesses. I trust you will be an improvement on the last one. She stayed only 2 hours.
I'm pretty damn sure I know what it is, but I'm not going to risk it for that biscuit. So give me the cast.
Julie Andrews and
Sound of
Christopher
Music.
Plummer. It is
Yeah.
indeed The Sound of Music. Redemption, thy name is the boy.
Yeah, I was like, as long as I don't guess Hairspray, I think I'll be fine. And then it probably would have been Hairspray.
3.
3, yes.
Okay.
Tone, you have a 2007 science fiction film.
Ooh.
All right. It's going to give me a clap.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of this one. If anyone is out there, I can provide food, I can provide shelter, I can provide security.
Ooh, that sounds so familiar.
It does. I really don't think you've heard of this movie, though.
Go ahead and give me the cast.
The cast is Will Smith.
I was like,
Alice
come on,
Braga.
baby.
That's what I thought. That's crazy. I'm all giving myself points. That's I Am Legend.
Yeah.
The Omega Man. Damn it.
I was like, damn,
That
I just
could've
got to
put me in the
convince them
lead.
that this isn't another movie we were just talking about.
Wow.
I'm catching up, baby. I'm catching up.
Good luck, bro. You got a 2005 comedy. Oh, the score real quick. Anthony's got 14, so do I. And John, you got 13. Counselor John. Counselor John, 2005, Counselor Comedy.
Give me the counselor quote, please.
Okay. I respect women. I love women. I respect them so much, I completely stay away from them.
That is the 40-year-old virgin.
That is correct. Good job.
Good. I haven't seen that one in a while. Do you know if that one holds up?
Yes. I've seen it recently.
I felt like it did.
It holds up. Anthony, you have a 2008 comedy.
Give me that first clue, baby.
Missed it by that much.
Ooh.
What year?
2008. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-bow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with give me that cast.
Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway.
Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway.
Back-to-back Corrals, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird, right?
Corral Corner. Oh, yeah. Creature Camp.
Oh, no, he was in that movie with, I think... What the fuck movie was he in with Anne Hathaway? Do you know this?
I saw it in theaters.
So did I.
I knew from the quote. I remember it from the trailer.
I read it pretty on point, too.
Yeah. He slams into a wall.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me the next clue.
The Chief and Agent 99.
Oh, Get Smart.
It is indeed Get Smart for 2 pointed.
Yeah, I've never seen it, never had an interest. I just remember the trailer had him stuck in the phone booth.
In a glass box of emotion.
Tone, you got a 1989 drama.
Oh, fuck me.
You'll be fine.
All right, give me the quote.
The quote is, if you build it, he will come. You got to take the next clue just so I can tell you.
I don't want to. Is that Field of Dreams?
It is Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner and Ray Liotta. That's
All right.
why I laughed when you first gave me the cards. Is I was like,
We've talked too
we've
much
talked
about
about Kevin Costner baseball movies
So
since we
much.
started doing the regular trivia.
Yeah.
right.
R.I.P. to Ray Liotta.
Yeah,
I legit cried that day.
I don't. He was a good fella.
Yeah.
John, you got 17. Anthony, you got 16. And I'm sitting at 18. John, you have a 1993 comedy.
93 comedy. It's nuts. Give me the quote.
What's your problem? You don't want to be in love. You want to be in love in a movie.
Huh. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck that quote.
Fuck that quote, dude.
Son of a bee sting, guys.
I just got stung by a bee today.
Do I rip it?
Like a Beyblade.
I lost my glasses today, and I felt like a nerd looking for them in school.
My glasses.
Jinkies.
I was like, God damn it. I was walking through, and I got to the classroom, and I went to go take my sunglasses off and put my glasses in. I was like, well, they're not here. So I had to walk around the school. They were in a field.
Oh, they fell out like when you bent over or whatever.
This school was doing a color run. I don't know if you guys know what that is, where you throw powder at people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess they fell out during that.
Interesting.
And so I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, I'm such a dork. Like, hey, you see my glasses?
It used to happen to me all the time when I was in elementary school. I'd find him in the middle of a field, or I'd find him in like the trash can in the boys' bathroom, like just random places.
But I found him, clearly. So,
Glad you found him.
yeah.
93.
Stalin, John.
Say 93 comedy,
Yes.
and then it was.
What's your problem? You don't want to be in love. You want to be in love in a movie.
Oh, this sounds so familiar.
So close, but yet so far.
So far away.
I think at this point I've got to rip it,
You gotta rip it if you want a chance.
I mean, I could fuck up.
but the likelihood is small.
What are the odds?
Never tell me.
Chasing Amy.
Ooh, that is Sleepless in Seattle.
Would you have gotten it with more clues for Sleepless in Seattle? Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
I would have gotten it with Tom Hanks,
Tom Hanks,
and
Meg
Meg
Ryan.
Ryan.
Hey, man, we're down to the wire here.
Hey.
Totally understandable.
Yep, gotta try, right?
I'm stretching out my leg. This isn't like a message I'm trying to send you.
Anthony, you have
Lick my shoe.
a 1989 comedy.
Give me that first clue, please.
I'll have what she's having.
When Harry Met Sally.
It is When Harry Met Sally.
Is that also?
Yep, Meg Ryan.
Wow, that's
Billy
so
Crystal.
weird. All right, you get 4? Mm-hmm. 4.
444.
All right, so I need 3 points to win.
Yeah, which I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
Tone, you have a 2007 comedy film.
All right,
Counselor
go.
Tone.
Go ahead and give me the quote.
The
Counselor
quote
Boy.
is, they say pregnancy often leads to, infants.
Come on.
Yeah, but it could be like 2 different things. You know what I mean?
What was the year?
The year is 2007.
Okay. I will take the cast just to play it safe.
The cast is Elliot Page and Michael Cera.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
I was thinking something else. Good treatment to the card.
Yes.
The outdated card.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Appreciate
says,
that.
some outdated shit.
Mhm.
Juno.
It is indeed Juno.
I do know.
Hey, how'd you know, bro?
4. How many points? 4?
3.
3?
3?
Three.
Oh, yeah, because you got 2 clues, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I won that one, guys. 21, 20, and 17. Not too bad.
My
Yeah.
girlfriend can't say that I didn't put in a fucking fight, okay?
Yeah.
I was 1 point behind you.
Yeah, that was the
So-
only reason why I went off on that one and just made a guess is because I knew
gotta-
what you had coming, and I was like, regardless of if you've even ever seen the movie, it's like one of the most heavily quoted things in all of cinema.
The only thing that would have gotten me quicker for a comedy would have been you ever seen a grown man naked?
Oh, that's good. All right, that's going to wrap it up for trivia. If you like trivia, we do bonus episodes over on Patreon. Mine this week was about crazy inventions based off what we're talking about later. John's, you did a...
Is movie Mad Gabs.
Oh, that was fun. You want an example here? Just a little taste for you. No, not that one. That one's like 2 hours
Too
long.
explicit.
Yeah. Aries, her, Ed. Okay, so there you go. That's a little preview for that. And then your quiz?
My quiz was what the fuck quiz is Anthony trying to put together here in the moment as we play it, but it was supposed to be guess the David Cronenberg film based on the IMDb description. These guys actually did really well, better than I thought they would, and that's not coming from somebody who knows shit about David Cronenberg. So yeah, look for those wherever you get your Patreon stuff.
At Patreon.
At Patreon. Oh yeah, .com?
Yeah.
/
Porcelain Peak.
Okay.
The robot lady will tell you a little more.
Perfect. And then we'll see you after that with our main discussion.
Head on over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak for hours and hours of additional content, merch, and more. For $5 a month you get access to our weekly trivia bonus episodes, where we write each other new quizzes for every episode. For $10 you get access to our monthly /Terpiece theater commentary tracks, where we crack wise over the top of movies for your enjoyment, alongside a monthly print designed by Anthony Silva. For $20 you can join our producer tier, where you will get early access to our episodes, a t-shirt every 6 months, and the ability to help us come up with ideas for future episodes. All versions of the episode are provided ad-free on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/porcelainpeak to help support the show.
Head on over to porcelainpeakshop.com and purchase some merch to help support the show, or purchase our Horror is for Everyone shirt to support new causes every month. This month we are donating all proceeds from this shirt to GLSEN because we believe that all students deserve to learn in an environment free from bigoted pieces of shit. Share a picture with your merch on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and we will give you a shout out on a future episode. Again, that's porcelainpeakshop.com to help support the show and look fly as hell in the process. Thanks to everyone for watching. Now back to Tone, John, and Anthony.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
For our main discussion,
We're talking about Scott
Creature
Bakula.
Camping.
Scott Bakula.
Yep. Surprise, it's Quantum Leap time.
Yep, this whole podcast has become a Quantum Leap retrospective. So let's talk about the episode where he leapt into a chimp. That was a good one.
Oh, I heard that apes don't cry.
they can't cry, but they're crying on the inside.
But there's also the popular song "Big Apes Don't Cry."
Yeah.
Big apes don't cry.
Beautiful. But no, we're talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956 is our first film, and then 2022's Crimes of the Future, which I keep wanting to call Crimes Against Humanity.
Yes. Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah, or crime. Yeah, well, I call this movie "Fantastic Breasts: The Crimes of the Future." Because there's lots of titties.
There was, yeah. That was cool. And some
But
bushies.
Leah Skidoo gets naked in every movie she's in. So
Is that true?
yeah, she was naked in. Oh no, you didn't see The French Dispatch. Blue's the warmest color.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Anywho, Invasion of the
Anyway.
Body Snatchers from 1956.
Hit us with that background, boy.
This is a movie directed by Don Siegel. It, like I said, came out in 1956. It is based on the novel The Body Snatchers. This is the first adaptation of The Body Snatchers. There have now been like 7 adaptations.
4 movies.
Yeah, and
In
then
total.
if you include The Faculty being pretty much just a
Pretty
ripoff,
much, yeah.
it's even listed as an adaptation of Body Snatchers
So
if you look
good.
it up.
So good.
And then there's a movie called Assimilate that came out a couple years ago that apparently is also loosely based on Body Snatchers. This movie stars Kevin McCarthy, Dana Winter, King Donovan, Carolyn Jones, Larry Gates, Jack Finney, and Gene Wills.
What's the 2 people's name? Becky and, right?
Becky Driscoll and Dr. Miles J. Bennell.
Miles.
Miles J. Bennell.
Yeah. And they're really the main focus of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the very basic premise, if you don't have any clue what Invasion of the Body Snatchers is about,
John,
is...
do the spoilers.
Yes.
For a
Spoilers.
1956 movie.
Yeah, there are some alien life forms that are replicating people and
From pods.
through pods, creating pod people with pretty much no emotions.
Hey, we're a few pod people. You know what I'm saying?
poddy people.
I mean,
Sometimes I wish I was a pod person. Like, I just get rid of all my emotions and just be a pod person.
you are a pod person.
Oh,
You're-
thanks. Yeah,
That
so...
is
wrong
your
one.
to the damn face.
Yeah, I think most people are probably more familiar with the 70s remake of this with Donald Sutherland. But this movie I was very interested to go back and see because much like The Fly, I had seen the remake and not seen the original.
Same.
Yeah, so I wanted to check it out and see if it had all that pizzazz of a 50s sci-fi movie. And I want to start with you because I know you had a very positive reaction to this movie.
I loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. You mentioned it through text that it is like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone.
And I'm glad I read that before I watched because it perfectly translated for me in that way.
And I love The Twilight Zone. So this movie worked for me. I know the general idea, kind of what you explained, that there's some kind of swapping happening, but I didn't know a ton of the mystery. So going in, I was like, this mystery is great because the doctor, Miles, comes back from sabbatical or whatever the fuck, and then everyone starts acting hella weird. So you don't know what's really going on. He doesn't know what's really going on, if something even is going on.
Yeah.
And then it plays into this whole psychosis idea, which I was like, this is really cool. And then obviously there's a ton of social commentary.
Yeah, and the big thing, and I think it's funny that the main actor's last name is McCarthy because at this time, McCarthyism and the Red Scare and all this stuff about communism was huge. The director said that he didn't intend for, and McCarthy, the actor, said that they didn't intend for the movie to be social commentary, but the writer of the screenplay said that he 100% did.
Yeah.
Because I think he was affected by McCarthyism. So
Well, it
was
makes
something
sense.
where
So-
he wanted to write that into the story.
You know, you have these people that might come over, or they could look just like us. You know, what I mean, essentially, it's what it is. It's like The Americans, that
Yeah.
show with
Yeah.
Kerry Russell. But I was like, oh, okay, that's a really cool idea. And we talk a lot about that on the show. To see a movie from so far back do that same thing, and to me, do it
Successfully.
very well. Yeah. I was pretty into it. I mean, there's, some stuff here and there. The one part that really got me is during the police chase, like, they're looking for a black and white sedan. And I was like, everything's black and white, idiot.
Which is weird. The poster art and everything is all in full color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Super cool
on
poster.
Paramount
Yeah.
Plus, the still of the movie is in full color. I was like,
Yeah, weird. I like that it's in black and white because it did lend to that feeling like a Twilight Zone episode. Yeah, I love the buildup of the paranoia, and it brought up the
So
question
good.
of like, this is something that we can probably go like more in depth on. And I thought about bringing it into Chop Talk, but we just had so much news, which was the idea of like, how far does somebody have to go in terms of acting differently that you start to suspect that, like, when would you start suspecting that had been replaced by a replica? Like, if you're looking at this as a real life situation, it makes total sense that nobody is going to believe these people who are like, oh yeah, because at first they chalk it up to, oh, they're acting different because your relationship has changed, or like, oh, because this person's distant, they might be having an affair. It's like all this logical stuff where you're like, yeah, no, that 100% makes way more sense than pod people are replacing people. And it's really not until the characters start experiencing like, there's a body and it looks like this other dude, it's the same height, it's the same weight as this dude, who is played by that character is played by Jeff Goldblum in the remake. And they have that moment too where they're like, how tall are you? And he's like 6'4", 170 pounds. I was like, one, you're hella light for a 6'4" guy.
Yeah.
And he's crazy skinny in that movie.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
He says his weight and stuff in The Fly, too. It's just his thing.
Yeah, I guess.
He just loves it. There's just like a cutaway gag in Thor Ragnarok where he's just like, yeah, I'm like 185 pounds.
I'm clean 185. Yeah, but I really, really loved the pacing of this too. Like it doesn't take too terribly long to get to like the body snatcher stuff, but I think it takes just long enough to, like you said, really kind of invest you in the mystery of what's going on. And even though, like in The Fly, we know what's going on, it still somehow is able to kind of trick your brain into like rolling along with the mystery because you want to see how the characters are going to figure out what's going on. And I thought that I remembered it being a lot more overt in the remake, but I rewatched the Sutherland remake last night, and it plays pretty much, outside of like switching up the main character Benel to being a health inspector and changing up some of the other characters' professions, it plays almost exactly the same. And then kind of expands past the end of this story and does more like kind of fleshing out of the mystery and stuff like that.
This one ends very 50s, where it gets you to right at like the climax and then just credits.
Well, I love
rather than
that.
finishing it. Yeah, and I'm
that's the
on record liking that kind of thing.
The only negative that I would say about the way that this is presented is that it wasn't presented in the way they originally wanted to present it, because the stuff with him in the asylum, both at the beginning and at the end, was filmed after the fact, because when they test screened this, people didn't like that the ending was just him running through the traffic and going like, they're coming for you, and that's like the dark ending.
Oh.
So they tacked on the asylum stuff so that audiences would go, oh, he survived.
I think I would have
Think
liked
things
that
are okay.
more.
Well, and that's how the remake decides to go with it, with the Sutherland like pointing, and then the movie. I mean, it's an iconic scene, so I don't think I'm spoiling a lot to say that that's like a pretty iconic thing from the remake of Body Snatchers.
We sent that to us in emojis, and we knew what you were talking
yeah,
about.
exactly.
So.
They decide to land it on that pretty dark, like kind of ominous ending, and
This one's still pretty fucked up. I mean, not as fucked up, but
well, I think the performance helps
Yeah.
a ton, and especially since McCarthy was apparently like, this was toward the end of shooting when he did the scene where he's running through traffic and screaming, and he was so exhausted that they were afraid that he was going to trip and roll under one of the cars. So they were like having everybody drive super cautiously and saying like, you know, he could just pass out at any point and just roll under the wheels of one of these cars.
yeah, from my understanding, they shot in 19 days, 6 days a week, and as long as they could. And
The
the
process
scene
of-
when they're running in the hills, it looks like Becky is just exhausted. He's legit dragging her. Like, that looks real.
Yeah, he constantly looks like he's just like at his absolute wit's end, and then that ending is so powerful, and that's the part that I told you, I was like, yeah, that ending really slaps when he gets to that point where he's running through traffic. And the remake, again, to just bring that in, they do an awesome cameo with him that's kind of like a revisit of that scene, and I was like, "There's no way that's the same actor." And then I looked up, and they got the same actor to come back and do like another like running through traffic shouting thing, and it's awesome. It made me really appreciate that I'd watched the original and then watched the remake. But your question was, everybody seems to kind of
I
feel.
didn't ask you anything.
Well, yeah, your question like in text was everybody seems to feel that the remake is such a better movie, but you really loved the original. I
And
would
we
say
talked
watching
about that with The Fly, how that, there's these rare instances where the remake is considered better than the original. Very rare. Fly is one of them. This is another example of that.
And then The
Same
Thing,
with The
yeah.
Thing, right? Which
And
we're talking about
I would
later.
say in this case, I don't think that the remake is a better movie because it really does follow very closely to the structure and pacing. It's longer because it expands on some things, but I really think that it feels more like just a more modernized adaptation of what was already a great movie, which is this original.
Would you call them equals?
Yeah, and I'd say
Okay.
really it just depends on what style you're in the mood for. If you want the more slow, nuanced, like 70s style with the big hair and everybody, and Sutherland's playing a weird health inspector where he's like, this isn't a caper, it's a rat turd, like, and doing all this stuff. Or do you want like the Twilight Zone-esque, like 50s?
Well, I think you answered that one for me.
Yeah, so for you, I can see why this movie really like stood out and jumped out to you, and I'm happy that it did.
For you, had you seen any of the Snatch? When's the last time we got some Snatch? Is my question to you.
So I saw the Sutherland remake.
Okay.
I saw that maybe like 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't watched it since, but I remember enjoying it very thoroughly. But I knew kind of the basic plot beats, but I had forgotten enough about the story where the mystery was still enough to hook me in.
Right, yeah,
And
same for me too. I didn't think about the pods. So then, was this your first experience?
With this one, yes. Yeah, and I felt like the effects work was really great. I loved like the bubble that was coming off of them as like they're kind of forming.
Yeah, which
it was
helps them get those scenes past censors.
Yeah, because
they were
ain't
like,
got no
take
teeth.
that shit out of there. There's nudity, and they were like, no, there's bubbles.
There's bubbles blocking all that, baby. And then I really, really loved the scene right before he goes running off into traffic. The where like he kisses her and then realizes that shit has gone awry. And then the follow up to that when he's with the police and the doctors in the asylum, and he's like, I knew as soon as I kissed her.
See, that part for me was, I felt like problematic, and you guys can maybe help me work this out. But you're born in the pod, your regular self falls asleep, and then supposed to disintegrate, and now the pod is you. So what happened in the tunnel? Because it was just Becky, and then it was a different Becky. Like, where was the pod? When did that person come in? So I was like, wait, didn't they just kind of trip over themselves there? Because we see her like fall asleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's still just her. So where was her pod person? She just like mentally became the pod. It was weird.
It's
right?
hard. It's going to be hard for me because I just watched the remake, so I feel like part of my like what happened is like, well, her pod was here, but that's in the remake, and so I'm having a hard time differentiating between them right now in my head. So John might be better at answering that question. It could also just be a gaffe.
Yeah, I mean, because we also don't know necessarily how long he's gone for.
Yeah.
Because for me, it seemed like she was acting, like she was playing the part of this Becky that he knew the entire time when he comes back. Right. So it didn't happen while she's like in his arms or whatever. Like while he was gone, she fell asleep. And we don't know how long they were gone for, but I'm sure because they know everything that the other person knows, she knew exactly where to go.
So she came. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe something just got cut.
Yeah.
It just that part I was like, well, that was a little weird.
Yeah, I think the timeline is just longer than it seems.
Okay. So which one do you like more? Need to watch the other one?
Yeah, I would need to get a more recent watch with it. I mean, I am more into the modern sensibilities when it comes to things, but I felt like this was, like I said, this was really great.
It surprised me, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I was like, this is kind of intense.
Like camping.
And yeah, just like camping.
Like creature camping.
Yeah.
But there's so much mystery surrounding it, and they just go for it. They don't really hold your hand at all.
Yeah, and it's especially impressive because I don't think that the premise, and this is criticism that the original book got, the premise itself is not a super original premise. Like the idea of aliens come to Earth and either replicate or impersonate people.
They live, I guess. It could
Yeah,
be
and
example of that,
the
huh?
original book, I think that the movies, both this version and the Sutherland version, made the right choice, because in the original book, the ending is just that the alien, it's almost exactly the same story, but at the end, the aliens decide humans are a bit too much fucking trouble to deal with, and they just decide, nope, we're going to leave. And it's like, okay, bye. We'll leave a few of our pod people here, and then they immediately kill the pod people. Like, the humans immediately kill the rest of the pod people. And there's like all these rules. I don't know if they talk about them more in the movie, but in the book, I know the idea is that the pod people can only live for up to 5 years, and they can't reproduce. So the idea is that they basically just kill an entire planet and then move on, because nobody's going to be able to reproduce. So they just kill the species and move on. Which reminded me a little bit of like the replicants in Blade Runner. How they have like a
Shelf life.
a shelf life,
Yeah.
and they can't reproduce and stuff. So it made me wonder if one book inspired the other or something like that.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, with the replicants being like impersonators and body
Yeah.
snatchers and stuff like that.
I saw The Invasion, right? I think that's the one with Naomi.
Yeah.
I saw that one when I was younger, and I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I would be interested to at least watch the other one that came out, I think maybe in the 80s, Body Snatchers, because that one has like a 70-something%, which is decent enough that I would maybe want to check it out. But yeah, I really, if you're looking for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, either go watch this version or go watch the 70s version. And like I said, I think they're on par with each other.
Or The Faculty.
Or The Faculty.
Yeah, get that.
If
Get
you
that.
want, if you want the
the-
Kevin Williamson version
Yeah,
of
the
of
TV
Invasion
one.
of the Body
Yeah.
Snatchers, yeah. If you want some heartthrob in your life, which I mean, who doesn't?
Who
Yeah.
doesn't? Yeah,
Who
and drugs.
doesn't?
Yeah. So do we want to rate this, or do we want to just say that we enjoyed it? I think I gave it a 3.5, just to spoil 3.5 pod people want. To
Oh, I
potty.
wanted to answer your question. The moment I would know that you weren't you is, I think, as soon as we got together and did the pod, because we're all very
The pod.
emotional.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for you to come in here and be,
So if I was just like, yeah, so then an Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
yeah,
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think we would all know immediately. Like, what's up with your fucking butt, dude? It's a seed pod.
yeah. I think
That's not the boy we know.
I think for me, it'd probably be like the immediate removal of wordplay.
Yeah, if you started speaking like a normal human being, I would be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's not fucking John.
That's a good.
That's an imposter.
Yeah.
It's an impasta. Hey, there's that wordplay. All right. So yeah, I would say, I think maybe like a 4. I think I would give it a 4 pod.
I think I'm also on the 4 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
all right. Let's talk about the Cronenberg. John, hit us with that background of the crimes of the future.
Crimes
And
of
where
the
to find 'em.
Future
And where to find them.
is a 2022 movie that just came out. It's an hour and 47 minutes long, so it's a pretty quick watch for a
Felt like it.
Cronenberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Starring Leah Seydoux, as you pronounced earlier,
Mm-hmm.
as Caprice, Kristen Stewart as Timlin, Viggo Mortensen as Saul Tenser, Scott Speedman as Lang Detrice.
I kept thinking they called her Tumnus. It's like, oh, cool. Narnia vibes.
Along with several others, because at that point IMDb goes into the rest of the cast instead of the top build. So, but it is written and directed by David Cronenberg, and it is not his first foray at making a movie called Crimes of the Future.
But you said completely different. premise,
Completely
So
right?
completely different premise. This is not even the first or second time that he's wanted to use that title for a different movie. Apparently there have been a couple other movies that he came out with where he was like, I originally was going to call that Crimes of the Future. It must just be a title that he really loved. But this project was originally a project called Painkillers.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
John?
Spoilers. Yeah, this was originally called Painkillers. It was a script that he was working on like 10, 15 years ago. Like I said, it was originally supposed to involve Nicolas Cage, and the idea was going to be just that it was partially this story. It was going to be that it's a future where nobody can feel pain, and so things like surgery and stuff are considered, you know, the new sex, the new fetish, and everything. So it was very similar to this idea, I think, just without the performance art aspect of it, and sounded more like it was into the, like, even further into the body horror stuff. But the basic premise of this movie is Viggo Mortensen and Leah Seydoux are a performance artist couple duo, and Viggo Mortensen's character has some sort of like progressive evolution disorder that a lot of people seem to have in the world. A couple of things that so the world has become, you know, really infused with technology, and it's kind of this sort of ambiguous future setting.
But also in shambles.
Yeah, because of probably humans and pollution and things like that.
I'm sure.
And technology has evolved along with people, but people have also started evolving. And one of the ways that they exemplify this is most people no longer feel pain. But the other thing is that a lot of people grow vestigial different organs. And Viggo Mortensen's character, in order to deal with this, to him, crippling kind of illness that he has the organs removed as performance art. And because most people can't feel pain in this future, surgery is the new sex, as Kristen Stewart puts it, and people are just performing like backdoor street side surgeries and doing it to put shit in their faces and sew ears all over themselves and do dance performances. And so the art world has become even fucking weirder than it is in our current real life.
Yeah, some of that stuff reminded me of that Velvet Buzzsaw movie.
Yeah.
Which I did not like, but
I did not like it either.
Yeah, very disappointing because it was the Nightcrawler dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, this movie I thought that had some great ideas. I love that the technology that is developed is like almost bone. I don't know what it's made out of. We're led to believe.
Yeah.
But so then we
Very
get
organic.
this removal from plastic, which then comes up later in the movie. So I love the idea of our bodies are now adapting to save the planet versus our bodies adapted and then destroy the planet, which is where we're at currently.
Yeah.
So part of it is sex isn't as good as it was. Right now it's pain. So the overpopulation.
He even says at one point, he's like, I can't do the old sex.
Yeah. So then that takes care of overpopulation. And then also, again, huge spoiler, now our bodies are evolving to be able to consume plastic. So now we're helping get rid of this material that we've used to fuck up the world.
And I don't know what those purple candy bars are made of, but every time they bit into one, I was like, I hella want it. Even though I know it's like toxic waste and plastic, I was like, I hella want it.
So I loved those ideas. Some of the art stuff was cool just because we went to art school, and so I was like, yeah, this sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of the big ideas, is overpopulation and plastic consumption and the way that we use technology. And so I liked that aspect of this movie a lot. But that's kind of as far as it goes. I like Kristen Stewart's performance because it was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
But
I think she was the best part of the movie, and it's because she was the most, I think, actually interesting character. Like, I really didn't find myself interested in any of the characters except for her, really. I didn't think that Viggo Mortensen did much with his performance in
It's
this
a very
movie,
plain performance by
is
comparison.
weird. And
especially
I know
after watching something like Eastern Promises or
he was
History of
injured
Violence
before this movie, and that's why he like is kneeling and sitting and laying down for most of the movie, is because he had some sort of leg injury. Something involving a horse, I think. But
you had to see a man about a horse. I gotta see a man about a horse right now.
But everyone is putting in a very, and I don't know. I mean, having watched Cosmopolis, it feels kind of like this is just the way that Cronenberg directs actors now, which is very subdued, clinical, muted characters. And you go back to his movies like The Fly or Videodrome, where you have very idiosyncratic, interesting actors like James Woods and Jeff Goldblum, and compare that, or like fucking what's his face, Scar.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons and Dead Ringers playing two different characters.
Like a Skarsgård. I was like Stella.
Oh,
Scar.
You get these really great kind of like strange or interesting actors, and Viggo Mortensen is a strange, interesting actor, and I'm sure in other Cronenberg movies he's great, but in this I was like, I had no feeling for his character, and I don't know if that was supposed to be the point. And really for none of the characters. And so it was really, the concepts were interesting, but the actual story being told and as it progressed, I found myself pretty fucking bored by it.
I spent a lot of the movie just really pissed off, so that could have been part of it. I think I would watch it again.
I haven't heard the story yet, so if you wouldn't mind explaining how your theater going experience was.
Oh, so I went out to eat before because there's the restaurant right next to the theater, and it was sushi, which is always hella good, right? And it was so fucking bland. Like, you couldn't even tell that it was anything. And I didn't even finish a roll.
Oh.
And you guys know me.
Yeah.
I can eat.
Yeah, we put the sushi away.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I was like, I'm good. So that was that. So then I was already pissed off. And then some dude was just on his fucking phone, scrolling, watching videos, and I was getting so mad. And then I'm pretty sure he stopped, fell asleep for a majority of the movie, which is great. Yeah. But then at the big climax and everything, wakes up and then is on it for, I think, like half an hour, dude. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was getting so mad. And then I tried to get passes after, and Regal was like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Sounds like he was committing crimes of the present.
Yeah.
I know. And I was like, dude, you don't have to be here. So go.
Yeah.
Or don't sit in the fucking front.
Yeah, to me,
I was just
the
pissed.
only sense I can make of people doing shit like that is that it must be like a power play. Like you can spare the money to go sit in a big air conditioned room to just be on your phone. I'm like, you can do that in literally any location. That's the wonder of cell phones is you can do what you're doing right now literally anywhere. Why would you do
Go
it
to
here?
fucking Starbucks.
Watch a video. We can watch. Like, there's a video. You're already watching a video.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's picture in picture.
so that was super frustrating. But what was kind of your experience with it?
So I mean, I think that it does run on for a little too long, even for the runtime being short. It just feels like it.
The idea doesn't have the legs that it thinks it does, I think.
Yes, and then there were certain parts that I really dug, and I think that there is a small, very minuscule method to the madness of directing somebody like Viggo Mortensen to be very cold, clinical, and
He's doing his best to be Batman in this movie.
yeah. And then as we get to the very end, and it's kind of like that last second reveal, and then you just get that like single tear. It's meant to try to add an emotional impact to that moment.
I did think all of the physical acting on his part was really good. I mean, that's stuff I mean, I guess like I just kind of like forgot about it with all the other weird shit that was going on, but he is most of the movie like and like
There's too much going on.
Yeah.
Right? Because we get the art stuff. We get the Oregon people are not who they say they are.
Yeah.
Then he's not who he says he is. He's undercover. Then there's other police
working with the cops, yeah.
And then there's this faction of people that are trying to do surgeries to make this plastic evolution happen. And then there's
one of them has a son who was murdered in the beginning, and it comes around later.
And then there's a mystery with that, because now he looks like he was tattooed, but he wasn't. He developed that evolutionary. And then we find out there's this other group of people that are going around killing people.
Yeah, and a
it's
lot
like,
of that
what
is
the
very
fuck is going
Cronenberg.
on?
Like Scanners is like that, where it's like there's a group of psychics and there's another group of psychics
Yeah.
and they're fighting each other. And Videodrome is like there's Videodrome, but then there's the anti-Videodrome people, and then there's the anti-Videodrome. So that stuff felt very Cronenberg, and that's what I will say about this movie is like if you love Cronenberg, I love some Cronenberg. I don't love all Cronenberg, but this is, I would say, has all of the hallmarks of a Cronenberg movie. It's got the heavy sex all over the place. Everything is sexual. The body horror obviously is there. Lots of people getting cut open, sticking things where they're not supposed to go.
I wanted more. I was like, keep going, push it.
I wanted more of just seeing the weird fucking organs, because it reminded me of that scene in Annihilation when they find when they're looking at the video and they see all the shit crawling inside the guy. Yeah. So visually, I thought it was cool looking. Apparently, they shot this entire movie in one warehouse, which I guess would make sense because it was shot during COVID.
Yeah,
and that's another thing is it does feel kind of small, which I guess makes sense if it was shot during COVID. But yeah, it reminded me. The comparison I made was it reminded me a lot of how I felt about Men, which is Men the movie, which is lots of great high concept, interesting ideas, or low concept. I don't know how to fucking use that phrase anymore, but all these big hoity-toity philosophical ideas, and then the execution feels like it's 50% there. And that's how I felt about Men, where I was like, Men has great ideas that really could have been pushed into like a much more fleshed out, interesting movie. And I felt the same way about this. Not that I didn't enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed parts of it, but really it was the same with Men, where I was like, I enjoyed parts of Men, but as a whole, I wasn't over the moon for it.
you didn't enjoy the Men whole.
I think Men has the opposite problem for me, though. I think that while I enjoyed Men much more than I enjoyed this film, I think that Men doesn't take advantage of what you could get from an audience experience by increasing the runtime and building your story more and allowing that tension to really come to full fruition. Whereas this, it feels like they try to do way too fucking much, and like, but the runtime, for whatever reason, it feels almost kind of slow.
I felt
like
so fucking long, dude.
Packed with shit, but it just feels like it keeps going. It keeps going, and it's not that long.
Well, because the entire movie is just people talking in rooms.
Yeah.
So there's really not a lot to like kind of break up the monotony of what's happening until you get to the autopsy scenes.
Do it, you know?
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is like Cronenberg's writing, when he's writing his own stuff, which he mostly does. This is the first time he's returned to writing his own stuff in a few movies, I think. Sometimes he just writes stuff that sounds goofy as shit because he's just basically quoting right out of like a philosophy textbook, or he comes up with some line like surgery is the new sex is a cool line, but there's so many of those kind of lines in this movie where it's like, but pain is the pleasure of the internal mind's senses is art if you eat the synthetic. It's just like some of the lines just feel like overly pretentious and ridiculous. So yeah, I guess now that we've talked about it, I would say that I didn't super enjoy the movie, but not, I think I come to Cronenberg for specific things, which is the body horror and the character studies, and I didn't really feel like there was much of a character study happening in this movie, and it was a little bit just over bloated with plot lines that if you focused on literally any one or two of these plot lines and made those into their own movies,
you'd have a Brandon Cronenberg
you'd have
movie.
5 Cronenberg movies that are probably on par with his older stuff. But it kind of felt like, and you can tell when he talks about this movie that it's a script that had a different name and a slightly different story, and then the actors got replaced and he changed things up, and you can tell this isn't like, oh, I had this hot idea and I need to make this right now. It's like he's been kind of jigsaw puzzling this movie together.
He's been
for the
making a
past 15
Cronenberg
years.
monster out of his Cronenberg movies.
100%, and it feels that way at the end, and not really in a way that I think like sticks the landing. But I know a lot of people who love Cronenberg are like over the moon about this. I was looking at Letterboxd reviews, and there's so many 4-star reviews where people are like, Cronenberg in top form, like, hey, he's back, yeah, fuck yeah, baby.
I think there were just some people who just wanted him to make some fucked up shit, and there is some fucked up shit in this.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed
again, like
that.
you said, doesn't push it as far as I wanted it to. We've seen more fucked up shit in non-Cronenberg movies, probably people inspired by Cronenberg.
Yeah.
But, eventually you become the old guy on the scene.
Well, I think part
and
of
your
what
son
fucked us
makes
up
a way better movie called Possessor.
is that, and partnered with the fact that we just watched The Fly, which is probably the greatest Cronenberg movie.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, this was nowhere near as good as that.
Yeah, and I literally watched Possessor like 2 days ago before I watched this, and so I was like,
you kind of
shot myself in the foot.
Yeah, big time.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. I was like, let's get him back. Let's get him back to back goodies.
All it made me think was, well, I'm excited for Brandon Cronenberg's next movie.
Yeah.
All right, any final thoughts? Do we want to rate it? Go ahead, John.
We should rate it for sure. But before we
idiosyncratic organs.
I'm gonna say 2.5 for now. It leaves a little room because I think I will watch this again at some point.
I would like to too. Yeah.
Just to get a cleaner experience.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch it in 2 parts, which I thought would help how long it felt, and it just made it feel longer. But I think that giving it one full watch with my complete full attention, I might pick up on more and maybe see if we can find some of the weaving that keeps the fabric together, rather than it just feeling like a bunch of pieces of a bunch of just pieces of loose fabric.
Right.
So 2.5 for me for now. I think I'll revisit it at some point.
Okay. Yeah. I think I would go a 3 because I know, like I said, I love the idea. I love the idea of tackling overpopulation and tackling plastic
Concepts are
consumption.
great.
Yeah. And so that was enough. I think idea 5, execution 2, so I'm going to land at a 3.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same spot for the exact same reasons. I think the ideas are ideas that really could only come from Cronenberg, so you really feel his stamp on the movie in that respect. And so I'm happy that my brain was introduced to the idea of what if humans evolved to eat garbage, basically, I think that's such a cool idea, and a lot of the concepts in this were cool enough that I would love to see like entire novels spun off around that idea. But yeah, execution was probably like a 2 for me, so I'd say a 3. But open to rewatches as I am with all things. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely not closed off.
Yeah,
there's definitely movies we watch and I'm like, I will never fucking watch that again.
Hey man,
and this isn't one.
You haven't seen Morbius a second time?
It's Morbin time, y'all.
It's Morbin time.
The only reason I would watch that again is to see Matt Smith, because I thought his performance was good. Anyway, good final discussion. Good.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
all Cronenberged out, I gotta say. So I'm excited that we're doing something different for the next couple weeks.
We'll go ahead and get started with our final cut.
Let's Morbin our way on over.
Nope. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't you dare fucking Morb.
It's Morbin time.
It is.
What do you know? I asked for final cut, and I got it.
Welcome back. Final cut. We are still breaking the binge with Stranger Things 4.
You probably think
2.
we're all psychos at this point that we've only seen 2 episodes of Stranger Things. My dad today texted me, "Hail Vecna," and I was like, "Don't spoil shit." Like, don't say anything, because I was like, I've only seen 2 episodes, and I know he's probably binged everything that's out right now. So I was like, yes, Vecna is cool. Just don't spoil anything else.
Shut your mouth. And we're talking about Obi-Wan in a little bit, but let's go ahead and get started with Stranger Things. This is episode 2. Spoilers. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was basically just the same episode again.
I was about to say the same thing. I was like, it felt like a repeat of episode 1.
Right, because it's very happy and bubbly and set up at the beginning.
You
and
get all the
then
bullying
we get,
shit in the middle with Elle and
yeah.
the characters who I can't fucking stand because they're just the most stereotypical bully characters,
Right.
which always get written into anything that's even remotely Stephen King related. Is like, what if we had just the most stereotypical bully characters ever that have no nuance, which they might later on. Again, we're only watching these week to week, but I'm like, when that spoilers, but you already seen this. When she gets fucking rocked in the face with that roller skate, though, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So that was the thing, right? So then, but then we even get like Trailer Park and then the same kid seeing Vecna. It was very much the same episode. And I was like, wow. And I was like, this is good, but I want, like, let's give me a little bit more. Let's
and
push
Joyce
it a
is
little
getting
bit
put
further.
into her classic role of there's some sort of mystery that nobody believes her about and she has to solve it, like every fucking season that of the show. But
it was good.
It was good.
Yeah, and I
still
love
enjoyed
seeing
it.
the investigations and stuff coming back because obviously them like trying to find this Reefer Rick guy and like using like the
It's cute.
video.
I was like, that's dumb, but it's cute.
Yeah, the database for the movies. I thought that was pretty great.
All the Cheech and Chong movies, they're like, he must be the drug dealer.
Yeah. And I really dug us about the Vecna portion of it. I really dug that we kind of got more of that Nightmare on Elm Street, how everything is kind of like actually like specific to the person and how there's like they see specific things that kind of lead them down that path.
Right.
Yeah, and
I think
his
a little
thing
bit.
was like the car crash.
I
And
just
like,
wanted a little bit more. But we also get to see, along those same lines, how it's connected to the Upside Down.
Yeah, which I
that's
was
a
wondering
question you
about
could
this whole
have.
time was like,
Yeah.
is this something new or is this still the Upside Down? I loved that the kids got to tell what's his face from the Hellfire Club that
Eddie?
that they were like, oh, we believe you.
Yeah.
Let us tell you some shit. I really love that the scope of what's happening is expanding outside of the main group now and it's starting to affect all these random people. And so it seems like this is the season where the Upside Down is really going to start spreading out to like outside of Hawkins and start affecting everybody, which is scary and cool. I love that Vecna is mostly practical. I've said this in a couple different chats, but compared to the Demogorgons, the Demodogs, the Smoke Monster, the Meat Monster, this is the coolest and scariest monster that we've had so far because it's a dude in makeup. And also I think that him being somehow some sort of like necromancer wizard of the Upside Down, maybe some sort of like Lord of the Upside Down that we've never known about, is a really cool concept. And that all the Demogorgon shit and everything has been just the shit that flies around his castle and runs around his castle or his manor or whatever. That was a really cool little setup where I was like, ooh, I want more of that. Like, I want to know more about Vecna, and I'm very interested to see where that goes and if it is related to Billy in any way. But I do like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, maybe that's the same. What's his name? Like
Darcy
or something? The actor.
Yeah.
Maybe that's now he was pulled into
and he's
the
like,
Upside Down.
become
Like
that
that's
in some way. Yeah, I think that is potentially where that's going to go, especially since Max's character seems to be out of it and be somehow heavily affected by whatever's going on, and it seems like her story is going to get a lot more focus in this season than she did in a previous season, which is usually how they do it with these characters. So I could definitely see the Max and Billy story being like the secret, like underbelly story of this entire season. But yeah, I mean, the darker tone, I mean, they're continuing to do fucked up shit. Yeah, it does feel like a repeat of what they did in the first one, but it's still cool and scary to see this kid floating up in the air and
then just snapped into a million fucking pieces.
Yeah, and then he gets
CG
that
was a
ring
little
face where he's like
But I love seeing him just fucking.
He did look a little Gumby, yeah, and then falls on the ground.
I want to talk about Will, and maybe you guys didn't see this, but it felt like they're trying to hint at maybe him being gay.
Well, they do in last season.
Yeah, I think they've been.
They always have, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
even his dad, Lonnie, at some point is like, isn't he a little weird? And even Hopper at one point is like, isn't he kind of weird?
Yeah, and
which I'm assuming is code for that.
So the Duffers, I saw a little snippet where they say that as a storyline is going to be fully addressed this season.
Okay. Well, and then it seemed like maybe he is attracted to Mike. Yeah, because he does bring that poster, but he never does anything with it, and so
he seems to get like upset when Mike's like, "We're friends." Like it seems like Mike even is starting to understand, like, okay, you're into me, but I'm not into you the same way.
I never felt that though until now.
Exactly.
So that was a little weird.
But I think Mike is a very different person now that he's come back to visit, because obviously the way he's dressed, the way he acts, like he's changed a lot, and you can see that when he gives the gift to Elle, and she kind of seems sad that it doesn't say love Mike, it says from Mike, because when she wrote him the letter in the first episode, she said love Elle, and then he didn't say it back in the note, and so I was like, oh, that's sad, just another like punch in the gut for Elle. But it seems like there's going to be some butting heads between the group from this California town and Hawkins. Like, it seems like they're maybe not going to gel as well as they used to.
Yeah, and I do think that it almost feels like Mike is using this trip to California as an excuse to try to escape like this like classification as like a typical like D&D nerd that he has at home, because he doesn't dress that vibrantly in Hawkins. He wears more muted
he's
colors.
like, I watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and I'm going to dress like this now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
wasn't out at that point.
Yeah, it would have been a little early, but definitely kind of like playing up more of those like bright like 80s neon colors and things like that. So I think that there'll be more of that, and I'm sure that'll probably get addressed during a conversation. I'm sure it'll probably be between Mike and Will, because they're already kind of butting heads about the status of their relationship and the fact that Mike is there to see Elle and that's it, and that Will is just kind of a side character to this, and is feeling pushed to the side as well.
Mike did bring up a good point. He's like, well, you didn't call me either. Like, why is it all on me? And so I loved seeing that back and forth with them, because a lot of times you get it and it's like very one-sided, and it feels like that, I'm sure, with friendships in general. But he's like, dude, what? Like, you could have called. You know what I mean? So I like seeing that side of it too.
This season definitely seems to be like the disillusionment of the group, like the dissolving of the group. Yeah, with Lucas going off to do the like jock life sports thing.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get himself into some trouble too.
That's the hard part for me. Is I love, obviously in 1 and 2 they're together, and then in 3 they're split up for a majority of the time, and they finally come together at the end, and I love that. And now we're all just so split up again. I'm like, oh, I want the core group just together to do stuff, but
they're probably just doing the same thing again, where they'll all get back together toward the end of the season maybe, but nobody even knows that because that part of the season isn't out yet. But we did learn recently that the final episode is going to be like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
like it's pretty long. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but yeah, it did feel like kind of a rehash, and it made me especially want to watch the next episode, because I'm like, yeah, I want to get to the episode that starts to really push this shit forward. So I'm excited for episode 3. And that's all I really got to say about Stranger Things 4.2.
Yeah, now that we're here, I do want to revisit, how are we feeling? How is the Breaking the Binge experience going? Because I'm not as at odds with it as I thought I would be at this point now. Like, I still would love to sit down and just watch everything because it's there. But I don't know. Like there is still that like little part of me that's like, well, but I mean, what does it hurt to wait?
This lends itself really well to the way that I like to watch TV anyway. So, which is extremely slowly, and you're lucky if I get through a whole season of something. So if I was watching this at my own pace, I would only be watching multiple episodes because I had absolutely nothing to do. And this kind of keeps me from just like sitting and mindlessly zoning out to the show. I'm able to keep my focus on that one episode and know I only have to make it through an hour and change before I like get distracted by something else or whatever. If I was watching like 3 episodes at a time, I would be exactly like my sister, where I'd be like looking at my phone and I'd be missing things. And so this just plays like, I haven't felt at all like challenged by the fact that I can't watch the next episode, besides just being on Instagram and seeing potential spoilers for things. But I'm also not like hypersensitive to spoilers, because I know I'm going to enjoy it regardless. Like, the only thing I wouldn't want spoiled for me is if a major character were to die, but I doubt that I mean, maybe the mid-season finale has something like that, but I really doubt that these first 6 episodes have something that big. Who knows? We'll find out in a few weeks, but
for me,
it hasn't been tough for me.
After the first one, it was tough, because it's like, okay, we're back in Hawkins, or we're back in the world. I want to get.
It's been a while since we had new Stranger Things. I know you were watching season 3,
right? So I was like, let's get into it. I'm really excited, and then it was a really good setup, and I was like, okay, that hopefully is all the setup we get. I was wrong, and then we got a punch at the end. I was like, I gotta know. But then this episode, because it was that rehash, I'm not as like, okay, I really want to watch the next one, because this one was like, it was still good, but I've already seen it, so I wasn't as like, gotta get the next one. But I think once we do start to get a little more variety, I'm probably gonna have a harder time.
Yeah, I think once the plot really starts to kick into gear, it's going to be a lot harder to, because most of these episodes are probably going to end on big cliffhangers, and so it's going to be like, well, fuck, gotta wait the entire week, and a week feels very long. I will say that the week between episode 1 and 2 felt very long, and I can already. Well, no, we only got a few days.
Yeah. Plus, tomorrow we get, as of time of recording, we get Obi-Wan.
Well, speaking of Obi-Wan, why don't we talk about our thoughts on episode Trace?
Episode 3.
Hop in.
Obi-Wan.
Spoilers for Obi-Wan.
Spoilers.
Episode 3.
Let me know if you guys feel like this. The kind of general premise is very similar to The Mandalorian.
Hello there.
Where you get a person hunting or trying to save this. Obviously, in Mandalorian, he's trying to kill the kid, but then ends up traveling with him and they become friends. Kind of the same thing that's happening now.
So,
am I the only one that's feeling like that? Like, there's very similarities.
So I think it's
with
Deborah
that
Chow who directs the show. She's directing every episode.
Oh, okay, cool.
She said that the plot of the show was originally going to be Obi-Wan watching over Luke, and it was going to be more Obi-Wan and Luke centric, but she felt that was too similar to The Mandalorian, and I'm like, cool, so you just changed it to be a different version of exactly the same thing as The Mandalorian.
It's similar. It's very similar.
Just put Leia in instead of Luke.
She was even wearing green in the last episode, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, she
so
looked
like
like a little Grogu.
Yeah.
As soon as she showed up in the show, I was like, oh, they got to get their toy, or their young kids
cute,
like tie-in cute thing. I was like, so that's why at first I had a little bit of animosity toward the idea of her character, but she won me over. We talked about this last week.
I think in replacing incredible force powers that Grogu has, it's just the gift of gab instead. Like she's be quiet, and like she's the one who's like running these conversations and making it work, and he's the one who's almost fucking it up.
Yeah. Things that I really, really liked about this episode, I continue to really, really enjoy Ewan McGregor's performance. I think it's great. I mean, again, we talked about spoilers. It was very cool for about half of the appearance for me to see Darth Vader doing his shit. I mean, we asked for more stuff that was like Rogue One and having him walk through that village where he's just snapping people's necks and dragging them across the town. That
was
shit
so scary.
Just the rage
I was like,
unchecked.
he is a horror villain and also Darth fucking Vader. Like that's where I was like, yes, this is 100% on point. I love that he's trying to draw Obi-Wan out like by attacking all these people. So that stuff I really, really liked.
Their fight was rad, dude.
I wasn't in love with it. I liked parts of it. I like the way the new lightsabers look. Like they definitely look a lot more like the color is lighting. Like you can tell that the prop lights up the color of the lightsaber as opposed to the way they used to do it, where it's a stick and then they would roto it, and then there would be really no colored light shining off of it. I love that it was filmed in the dark so you could see that.
That scene was so cool. I love that. Yeah, that was cool because then Ewan is just blue.
Yeah,
I was like, that's sick, dude.
So before I get into things that I like kind of had gripes with, I will say that I overall I was hyped on this episode. I thought that it delivered in a lot of ways, and I'm really interested to see where they go in the last 3 episodes, because this felt like, okay, we're getting to this already. Like I know your reaction was like,
and it already delivered. Yeah,
you were like, oh, it delivers, and I was like, really? Okay. And then going into it, I was like,
that's what we wanted.
Well, when you said that, I was like, there's no way he means like in the way that we were talking about, which is Vader shows up and they fight. And then that's literally what happened. And I was like, no fucking way. That's crazy. Also, James Earl Jones, I found out after the fact that they did use the same speech synthesizer that they used for Luke's voice in Boba Fett. So James Earl Jones, I don't think actually did provide any voice work for this.
He's in the cast list, though.
Yeah, instead what they did is they filtered Hayden Christensen delivering the lines and used the re-speecher to make it sound like
they did
James Earl Jones.
Pretty excellent job.
Which I think he sounds better than James Earl Jones, which I think may have been the better choice, honestly. It sucks that we're in this age where it's like, yeah, James Earl Jones, who is 91 years old, is too old to be playing Darth Vader. But I think that in Rogue One you could tell that he was old when he was doing that voice, and it didn't sound like Darth Vader and it's supposed to be a prequel. So for this, I liked that it felt like almost a bridge between Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones, and it felt like I could tell kind of like in the delivery that it was Hayden Christensen. And so I had that suspicion and I looked into it, and that's what it was the re-speecher. If you look in the credits, they have it like... What's
some of the stuff that you like before we get into gripes? What's like working for you a lot? Especially with this episode specifically.
I feel like the two of them have a good connection, him and Leia. I feel like they it, like you were saying in our text conversation, it adds a lot to some of the things that we get later on in the series, like Kylo Ren being named Ben. I think that Obi-Wan having an influence on her life at a young age, but a young age where she was able to remember things, I think adds a lot of value.
She is a pretty small 10-year-old.
Yeah, and I guess she was like 8 when they filmed it, and she just turned 10, and people are complaining about something similar to that, which is that she doesn't look like she's old enough to be 10. But
what else was working for you?
I like that it does things to build tension. I think that that introducing Vader this early on still adds a lot of tension. I do think that there are some things that they kind of fucked up with that, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. I do think that also like having like these weird like characters who are like Empire sympathizers.
Zach Braff.
Yeah, it was like actually kind of legit creepy, and it
He
was
voiced
just
the rat face driver.
did he?
Dude. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, how
and it's
funny.
just literally art imitating life. Like I think that it works out well, and I think
Yeah,
it
it was
does.
like you might as well have
That's
like
a
a
weird
MAGA
story.
like hat on or whatever.
Yeah, it works better as social commentary than things that George Lucas wrote, 40 or 50 years
Make
ago.
the galaxy great again.
Well, and that's the opportunity that I think that they could take more advantage of, and they do in some points, and they maybe don't want to overdo it. But I do like when you see those kind of parallels to reality and stuff like that.
I think those have always kind of been present, right? Because it's very like Hitler Nazi-esque.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I like seeing like stormtroopers like on the job out in the field, like
That
chilling
scene
in
when
the
he's
truck
like,
and like.
You just called her Leia.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, that was pretty
And
scary.
I like that they. One thing I will commend the show on: very diverse casting for the stormtrooper voices. You can tell that they're really trying to ingrain the idea that they're not all clones anymore. That they've obviously been they're people who've been conscripted and stuff. But you can tell by the voice actors that there's a lot of black people, Latino people. You can tell just in the voice casting and everything. So I think that it's cool that they're trying to at least be diverse in that respect. I do think the cast in general is very diverse. Which will bring me to one point that I wanted to kind of bring up before we talk about gripes, because something that I don't have a gripe about is the race of any of these characters. And one of the big things that Disney and Ewan McGregor had to put out statements about, which is there has been a lot of racist statements and hatred directed toward is it Moses Ingram, the actress who plays
the third sister?
the third sister.
Whoa.
People don't like her character, which I agree. I also don't like her character and don't like the writing for her character, but I don't think it's because she's a bad actress, and I definitely don't think it has anything to do with her race.
Wow.
So anybody who has any sort of complaint about that, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
First
Wholeheartedly.
That
That's
does
you,
express the views and opinions of Porcelain Peak.
yeah, you can put the
Yeah.
Porcelain Peak stamp of approval on that motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't think that the Star Wars universe has any room for racist bigotry unless you are part of the fucking Empire, and none of you were part of the Empire.
It's been happening for years. I mean, there are these people who want
But
to
you
go.
all were cool with Samuel L. Jackson being a Jedi, but now you want to bitch about Moses Ingram playing an Inquisitor.
I wonder why.
The character
Yeah.
is bad because the writing for her character is bad.
Has nothing to do
It
with
has
the
nothing to
color
do
of
with
her
her as an
skin.
actress, because she was in Queen's Gambit, and I thought she was great in that. But in this, she
feels too young to be there. Like I feel like
she's
they
not
wrote-
intimidating.
Yeah.
And she's supposed to be. Her insubordination is my same complaint that I had with fucking Tom Cruise in Top Gun, which is every mission she goes on, she fucks up royally and kills somebody she's not supposed to, or goes against some orders. I do think that the whole showing the Order 66 flashback in the beginning of the first episode was supposed to show that she
Was
was
she
a
one of
part of
those?
that, and that
Yes.
she's one of those
Okay.
kids, and that the
That's
idea
what I
that
thought.
is that she's either trying to get close to Kenobi or close to Vader to potentially get revenge against Vader for attacking the Jedi Temple or something along those lines. So I can see her character being developed, but I think the writing for her character is very hammy and it's very corny, and most of the Inquisitors are like that, and I really don't think their characters have any business being in the show outside of Dave Filoni being like, they were in my Rebels show and they were in my Clone Wars show.
I liked I don't know his name, the second brother or whatever. A little bit more in this one.
Well, in my
or
other-
the fifth brother. Something like that. I liked him a little bit more in this one, and I didn't realize that was Han from the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh shit, it totally is, yeah.
Yeah,
and
I can see it now.
Because from the voice, I thought it was Wong from
Strange.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool, good for you. But then I was looking at him, I was like, you kind of got a different build there. You're a little bit bulkier. But then I looked it up, and I was like, oh shit, and I really like him in that franchise.
Yeah.
I think everyone did. That's why they didn't kill him. So they unkilled him.
Pivoting off of what I was saying about the writing, I think the writing is pretty clunky in some parts. I do think that for
But that's
most characters,
Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I just think that for most, it seems strange that the show has an actor like Ewan McGregor at the center of it, and then surrounds him with pretty lukewarm, pun intended, Performances, I feel like for the most part nobody else is on par with Ewan McGregor in this show, and that really should not be a problem that he's having. He should be acting against, I mean, really, if the only person who's keeping up with you in the show is the 8-year-old,
Yeah.
then there's a problem with your casting. And so the writing is not great, and some of the things that I feel like they're starting to fall into like Game of Thrones teleportation territory, where a lot of things are happening for seemingly no reason. Like, how did Reva run into the tunnel behind them and then somehow show up at the other end of the tunnel to catch Leia at the end of this episode? Makes no fucking sense. Vader is seemingly nowhere near this random mining planet. Who knows where it is? And as soon as he finds out Kenobi's there, he's like, and he's there, and he's on the planet.
Also is dragging him through fire, and then when she lights the fire, he's like, I better go.
Well, that goes into my whole bigger problem with the end of that fight scene. But another thing I will say about the scope of the show is I'm starting to think that the volume is not doing these shows any favors, because I do think that it's fucking with the scope of the action scenes specifically. Like, when he has that shootout at that little gate, that little laser gate, that he easily could have just walked around, and then he has to like shoot the control thing to get the laser gate to go out, and then they walk through it. Yeah. It felt like everything feels like it's taking place, like even the chase scene with Flea in the first episode when she gets kidnapped, they're all shuffling like this so that they don't outrun the volume. Like, you can tell when people are
Well, I thought it was because they're trying to make it seem like an 8-year-old could
there's
outrun
that
them.
too, which a lot of people had problems with. But
she's right there, dude.
I'm just starting to feel like I'm noticing the seams on the volume in a lot of these scenes, where it doesn't feel like the action has the scope that it should, because they can only film within a certain amount. Even the Vader fight felt like, okay, now we're in this spot in the dark, and now we're in this spot in the dark, and now we're in this spot in the dark, in a place that really visually is not very interesting. It's a quarry, which we see anywhere in real life.
Well, yeah,
I like the mining planet idea, but the scope of that fight felt ridiculously small compared to, and you're comparing it to the scope of not just the Revenge of the Sith fight between them, but then obviously like the gravitas of the fight that happens in A New Hope. And this felt, to me, while Vader himself was scary up to that point, the actual battle felt like a pretty big disappointment, and I wish that they hadn't actually fought in this episode, because then it just goes into ridiculousness territory where he starts this fire, which was dope when he's like, you're gonna suffer, but he's gonna make him feel the same pain that he felt, blows it out with the Force, and then they light that fire up again, and he's just like, oh shit,
I can't literally walk around it or jump over it.
Or
that
force
part
push it
where
again.
the stormtrooper fell on the laser, though, was fucking sick.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Cut him right in half.
Anyway, I had to mention that
Love
real
to see
quick.
people getting chopped in half.
Yeah, I was like,
and
hell yeah.
stuff.
Did Cronenberg do that?
Let's say we here at Porcelain Peak do approve of anybody being chopped in half in a cinema or television project.
Yeah, I just
Seal of
kind of
approval.
wish they hadn't blown their load in this episode.
Well, that makes me think that whatever they're going to do has got to be even bigger and more intense than that.
The more they do that, though, the more they start to push my suspension of disbelief that these things actually take place in the same timeline as like A New Hope, because it's already suspending my disbelief a little bit that Leia and Obi-Wan have met before. Because really the way she talks about Obi-Wan, and the argument could be she knew him as Ben. He called himself Ben the whole time. I don't think that this super smart 8-year-old girl is not going to be smart enough to know, hey, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the guy they're all looking for, is this guy. So then later when she's like, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, he told me to like call you or whatever. No hint or anything that they've ever met before, that she's been rescued by him before, and it starts to kind of stretch the like, okay, do these things really fit together? And I guess the writer apparently of the show did not know, had like not seen Revenge of the Sith, and did not know that Obi-Wan knew that Vader was Anakin, even though in that movie he watches a video of the Emperor calling him Lord Vader and turning him into Darth Vader and saying, you rise, Lord Vader, so it almost seems like the people who are writing this show don't necessarily know how to deal with all of the continuity. And so I think that might be a hindrance in the long run to be like, yeah, you got all this Star Wars shit going on, but people are expecting it to all, and it's the same with the Marvel stuff, where it's like eventually you're like, I just want to make a fucking crazy horror Doctor Strange movie, but I got to keep it within the confines of fitting into the rest of the Marvel universe and everything. And that's kind of where I feel like this could be a lot more interesting if it felt less beholden to things that have happened. And that's the problem when it comes to doing a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that he's a pretty fleshed out character. He's in all 3 of the prequels. He's in as a ghost or not a ghost in all 3 of the originals. So
I think that I would like them to do a Star Wars thing that wasn't connected to anything.
Yeah, which they won't do because they're so afraid of getting away from the nostalgia that attracts people to these shows.
But it's a fucking galaxy. There's so many more stories that they could build, and it sounds like it would be really
Do
cool.
a show about Kumail Nanjiani's fraud Jedi character
like you
going
said,
around helping people.
The more backstory we get, and the more that it's like, well, we're trying to connect this, and it's not working.
And then when you go back and watch A New Hope, you're like, so I'm supposed to believe that he's now fought Vader 3 separate times, assuming he fights him again by the end of this show. 3 separate times leading up to that fight on the Death Star. Again, based on the dialogue and the way those characters act toward each other in that movie, doesn't seem likely to me that was ever the intention. And so, as fun as it is, and as much as I'm enjoying it, those are some of my gripes, is that the scope of the show feels a little small. The writing is not great in a lot of aspects. I don't think the acting all meets Ewan McGregor's status. And for a show that's Obi-Wan Kenobi centric, you probably should have gotten a better cast of actors or better writers. And
what do you think about?
I felt like it blew its load a little early.
I mean, I'm not in disagreement. I think that there is a lot that's left to be desired in some of the execution of things. I think that the overall feel of the show is right. I think that the fun that's captured in it is great. I think that the intensity in certain places is also right. I think all of those things work really well with these characters. I think that there's just some parts of it that make it feel tiny, minuscule by comparison. Whereas in A New Hope, there's this massive implication of like, oh, this world-killing, monstrosity of technology is what's at stake here. And in this, it just feels like this is literally just about a dude with a grudge. And that and then potentially that could be the entirety of the storyline, is that it's this dude with a grudge and this lady who also has a grudge. And those are the only things that we're really running on. And in the middle, you have Ewan McGregor putting in a very great performance.
Right.
But is it worth what we're getting?
Also,
I'm not sure.
Also, I think that they are stretching it a little bit I just keep thinking in my head, like, this is 6 episodes. Like, come on, some of this stuff you got to pick the pace up on. Like, Obi-Wan's still like not finding his connection to the Force or whatever. I'm like, if you're halfway through this and he hasn't gotten to that point yet, you're gonna start pissing some people off. I'm okay with it, but I mean, after he had that blaster fight where he wouldn't take out his saber, and then in this fight, I get that he's scared and all of that stuff, but I'm just like, some of it feels like narrative contrivance. A lot of this episode felt like narrative contrivance to just continue pushing us forward through the rest of these episodes. Like, obviously, all the stuff with Vader at the end with the fire and everything was narrative contrivance, and getting the robot to save, or the droid to save him. Sorry, I didn't mean to call him a robot. And then, like, having Obi-Wan take so long to kind of get into like his mojo. Mm-hmm. I totally get it. Like, the longer you don't
usually lose it.
Yeah. But I think if you were doing 12 episodes or something, that's fine. But you're doing 6. Like, we got to start
getting some of these
picking
things
up
happening.
the pace in some places and not blowing our load in other places just to get Darth Vader on screen. Mm-hmm. I would have been totally fine with them just taking Vader out of the end of this and giving us a little bit more time with developing Obi-Wan's stuff. So, but I mean, I'm still on board and excited for the next episode. All of those gripes don't mean that I'm not still having a complete blast with this show.
Yeah.
I think I'm having a hard time with the suspension of disbelief with the fact that Obi-Wan's been in the same spot for 10 years. Vader's been looking for him for 10 years and hasn't felt any kind of Force activity from him or even been close to it. Also, like, he knows he has kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't felt anything from either of them, and now he's feet away from his daughter, and he's getting no.
Well, I don't know if he knows at this point that the kids survived. I think the idea is that he doesn't know that they survived because
they tried their best to keep it a secret.
Yeah,
but he's the fucking Vader, dude.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is I think that the reason that Obi-Wan specifically gave up his connection to the Force was so he couldn't be found.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
if
makes
he's
a lot
not
of
reaching
sense.
out, then nothing can reach back to him.
Something that kind of makes me
that makes sense.
Kind of iffy, though, is he seems... I'm just kind of confused why in the previous episode or in the first episode he's like really pushing Owen that Luke needs to be trained. And I'm like, but then over here you're talking about how the Jedi are done and you have no hope in anything and you've kind of lost your connection to the Force. Why are you pushing so hard for Luke to get trained?
That's a good point.
I think part of the reason is because he feels like there's a possibility that this could be the only thing that could help against the Empire or whatever, but it's contradictory to
Well,
some
he
of the
doesn't
other shit
seem
that
at
he's
this
saying.
point to have any interest in defeating the Empire. It's not like he's part of a rebellion at this point or wants to defeat the Empire. Even in A New Hope, it's like, yeah, he knows the Empire's bad, but he's not thinking like, we're gonna go fucking like defeat him. Even in that, it's we just got to go save the princess, and they end up stumbling into blowing up the Death Star and starting the and kicking off this whole rebellion and everything. But in this, it's like he doesn't even seem to really have a huge interest in stopping the Empire now anyway. So why is he like, oh, besides I gotta protect this kid because if Vader finds him, he'll kill him.
I think you unlocked something for me, and I think that the reason has nothing to do with the Empire. It has to do with the fact that he doesn't want to make another Anakin, in that he feels like Luke is getting too old. And if he starts learning things about the Force by himself, which is fully possible, we've seen it, I mean, with other characters where
if he's
they
trained too old like Anakin was.
Then there's a possibility that he could turn to the dark side, and that could create...
Joke's on him. He's not going to get trained till he's like 20.
Yeah. Yikes.
But again, things that were set up that they've then changed, and now that doesn't always make sense. It's not poetry, and it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like fucking beat poetry.
Whoa, man.
Yeah. But
right.
Cool. I think that's
Wrap her up?
a good place to wrap up our discussion.
Not to say that we're not excited. I'm very excited for Stranger Things and for this, and I hope that the 6 episodes gives it less filler and all killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. Sometimes we just got to turn two critical eyes, and say, that didn't all make sense.
All right, next week we are starting our Trek 65 million years in the making, and we are watching the Jurassic Park trilogy in preparation for the Jurassic World trilogy. So that's going to be 2 weeks back to back. This week it's Jurassic Park, The Lost World Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3.
JP3.
Yes, and then the following week, if you're just trying to get an early start, we are doing Jurassic World
Fallen Kingdom,
and then Jurassic World Dominion, which comes out It's out. When you hear this, it's out.
Yeah.
So, hope you're ready to get dinoed. I'm excited.
Dino DNA.
I remember liking 3 as a kid, but I know everyone hates that movie, right?
Yeah, but it may be one of those things where, in comparison to 2, which I don't remember liking very much as a kid, I don't know. I'll be interested. My opinions might be all over the place.
All right. Anything else?
Other than that, we're also going to be watching episode 3 of Stranger Things 4, and then we're also going to be watching episode 4 of Obi-Wan, so expect those things. Let us know. Tell us your Breaking the Binge stories. Let us know if you have been hanging out with us, and also if you have potentially had to dodge any encountered spoilers. And
I know some people have had I know you were like joking or whatever, but I think it was Brooke or Mark, one of them was saying that their significant other was like watching it in the background, and they were like trying to avoid watching it so they didn't break the binge.
I was just kidding. I told these guys I didn't watch it, but I was around someone who was watching it.
That's called secondhand breaking the binge.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. I've been Counselor Tone.
I've been Counselor John.
And I've been the internet darling, co-host of Porcelain Peak, Anthony.
See you next time.
Keep it campy.
For exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been here words for Weirdos Production.